So let's start with the first question. So from the beginning, how did you end up in retail and operations? Was this always the direction, or did it kind of find you?
So it was not always a direction because when I was a student, that point in time retail was just evolving. So it was more of a journal trade. It was never a modern trade. And with the evolvement of modern trade, that's how the word retail came in the picture. So post my MBA, there was a lot of we were looking forward for a campus interviews, and retail was at pretty boom. So back in 2007. When I did my regular MBA in marketing, I got through a very big organization by the name of Future Group, which is
Mm.
formerly known as Pantaloons Retail India. I was working there, and that's how I entered into retail. And after getting into retail, I understood that every business, every commodity today, so there is an online space and there is a brick and mortar space. So on a brick and mortar space, retail, as they say, it's about detail. So
Mhm.
looking at, so it was a good learning curve for me. It was a good learning curve for me where I could understand inventory management, I could understand procurement, I could understand the customer service, I could understand the sales management, I could understand how to typically look for a shop location which can drive footfall in the shop. So that is
Nice.
how I entered into the retail side of it. Okay, so fundamentally, I believe that any business looks for a performance. There should be a performance, and if I typically talk about a retail, so it is a mix of it's there's an equation for a success in a retail, which is your people first. So in people first, you need to take care of many elements of people.
Right.
Then your obsession towards your customer centricity, and then it is about operational excellence, which delivers the superior performance. So it is a mix of three different combination. Now, in people first, how people should be treated. Not everybody will be, because it is not Deepak store or it is not Stan's store. It is Walmart.
Exactly.
So the processes has to be duplicable. Now, one of the greatest thing about retail is also that it is once you invent the wheel, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You need to replicate your processes, your systems. So I fundamentally believe in this equation for success, which drives the superior performance, the business performance for any of the retail segment.
Right. Okay, that's very well said. Actually, I completely agree with you on that. Yeah, the people's first is definitely that's where it comes into, because if everyone is happy, it's like if you know the story about like how Ford started up, it's he never like fired any people. He just like he gained the trust of the employees and then essentially made the employees step up every time, like with the career ladder, and that's how he was able to create a business that we know today as Ford, right? Like it's a huge.
Yes, absolutely, Stan. Because what I also really feel is that if you win your people, so one is an authoritative kind of a leadership where you inform, you tell what needs to be done. The other one is when you align your team, when you enroll your team. It is not only you which goes, but the entire team goes towards the same common vision. Absolutely. So in the GCC and in UAE, healthcare is very sensitive because it is highly regulated market,
Yeah.
and any non-compliance leads to even it can lead to the suspension of licenses as well.
Yeah, like closures. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
But having said that, the basics of the retail still remains the same around inventory
Okay.
management, around home delivery. A lot of things remains same. Now, you were talking about home delivery. So in a home
Mm.
delivery, it could be more of a process which could be a cold chain process because the most of the medicines are temperature controlled, and
Mhm.
see in a lot of countries, once you sell the medicine, you cannot take it back as well because the return of medicines are not allowed. So I'll give you a classic example about a retail pharmacy. One of the project which I led in Burjil was around a home delivery. Now, if you see out here in Dubai, convenience, everything you get about 10 to 15 minutes. Anything and everything that you ordered, you want to have, you can get in about 10 to 15 minutes of time.
Yeah.
So we had one of the major problem around prescription leakage because one of the
Mm.
fundamental problem in the hospital is that the patient is ready to wait for the doctor, but for getting the medicine, they really want it to be absolutely faster.
Yeah.
And this is a highly insurance driven market as well. where the pharmacist would have a dependency on insurance approving the medication, and then
Hmm.
dispensing it to the patient. So when I joined Burjeel, that point in time, I remember we had a big problem of about some 28% of prescription which were leaking, which was like a low hanging business fruit for us. It was our
Wow.
own prescription, and we were losing the business because there was a huge wait time in the pharmacy. There was a
Mm.
huge wait time in the pharmacy. So what
Right.
I came up with a concept along with my cross-functional team like procurement, finance, IT. I involved them. We looked at the prescription leakage data. We looked at what was the major concern behind leakage of the prescriptions, and then
Mhm.
we onboarded an on-demand technology, which we fix the processes right from the doctor. So the moment now today you go to Burjeel, the doctor himself will ask, "Do you want your medication to be home delivered, or do you want it to collect from the pharmacy?" Now,
Mm.
the moment, Stan, if you say that I want it to be home delivered, there's an auto trigger or an auto message which goes to you where you update your address, you write down your preferred time for delivery. Only on the outcome, if you focus on the
Ah.
process, it will be byproduct. So in retail, we really had checklist for almost everything: a cash
Mhm.
checklist, a checklist for store opening, a checklist for grooming, a checklist for inventory management. So
Nice.
once we started implementing those checklists, we could also see that there were a lot of things which were. So, for example, in case of shrinkage, it went down. Uh,
Mhm.
in terms of inventory management, we had better inventory management. In terms of cash shortages at times, because the digital payment was not there back then. It was
Yes,
more of
exactly.
a cash payment.
Yeah.
So when we followed those checklists, we realized that they really has a power. So that is where, if you, I started with something called as retail is all about detail. So the moment we
Yeah.
started getting into the details, we started, getting our answers.
I see. Okay, that's really good actually. That's so that's the biggest thing that you kind of learn and you would pass on to other leaders, to other managers who are trying to essentially increase the productivity, get everything set up properly, basically make the operations more sufficient. You would say the biggest thing is just focus on one operation at a time, but perfecting one operation is essentially that's how you do it step by step from what I'm.
Absolutely. As they say, devil is in the details. So
Yes.
the moment
Exactly.
you get into details of any of the retail, you would get your answers and you would correct your processes. All right, great. It's a very good question, Stan, and
Mm.
I think retail boils down to that availability part a
Yeah.
lot. Uh,
Okay.
Having the right product at the right place is something very, very meaningful. And when
Mm.
you any of the new store, you don't know exactly what will
Yeah.
sell, what will not sell.
Right.
So in let's say let me talk about let's say we launch a new store. Now in that we will look at the demographics of a similar store, of in some other area, and we will try and replicate those stores. Now one thing is called as the in stock, one will be the width and the other one will be the depth. So we will try to have lesser number of SKUs,
Mm.
a higher
Mhm.
number of width, just to kind of understand, because the first 2-3 months of time we also understand that what moves here, what could be a proper classification of the stocks. So we categorize into different category like A, B, C basis
Right.
volume and value. So depending upon the first 3 months, we understand that what moves here better, what doesn't move. Now one of the exercise that I regularly do is fortnightly looking at the inventory days in each of the pharmacy,
Mm.
looking at the aging of the inventory. Now, if there is an aging inventory in X store, however, it might not be aging in the Y store.
I
What
see.
we will try to do, we will try to pull back from X store and we will send it to Y store. Now, for
Okay.
example, if both of there's an aging in even X has a aging and Y also has an aging, just
Hmm.
before we place an order, they should be aware about it. And even at the store level, there were a lot of barcoding which used to happen at the store level. We changed
Okay.
that, and it was consuming a lot of man hours of the staff,
Yeah.
the team member who were there. Rather than that, they can have a conversation with the customer. It can be more engaging
Exactly. Yeah.
with the consumer. So we shifted the entire process towards the back end, where the order placement, the inventory management, the barcoding, the supply chain, the follow up with the vendor, everything happens centrally. And when we implemented, so unfortunately, the CXOs were of the opinion that whether we should go with this approach or we should not go, because it would have an impact in the business. So I said that we will probably pick up some of the stores. We will not implement overall across. We will implement in about 2 to 3 stores of different category. I
Mhm.
mean, store categorization of ABC classification. So we would categorize and we would pick from each of the category one store, and we will replicate here. We will look at the turnaround for the next 3 months, and when we saw that we had about 41% growth in the business
Oh,
and
wow.
with lesser number of inventory days. So this is
Nice.
one of the kind of a key challenge which I faced in the. So certain functions would definitely be there, because there
Hmm.
will always be a touch and feel. With the advent of obviously there's a robotic warehouses,
Yeah.
the WMS, everything is the on-demand technologies. Everything is there for sure, but it is there to ease the to support to in order to bring efficiency in the system. Now, I strongly feel that people will definitely be there, and people will play an important role, because
Hmm.
these cannot give you an experience which, if they interact with the right team member, if they speak to the right team member, the technology cannot give that kind of impression. And specifically, if I talk about pharmacy, it
Right.
requires a good amount of consultative selling. It does not require only a mere that you buy something, X
Yeah.
brand, and you end up buying. But many times, because if you go to any of the retail store, many times people come up with a problem statement. Now essentially the team member in the store has to solve that, the problem. So, omni-channel is extremely important in any of the retail setup now.
Hmm.
Where you have an option to visit the pharmacy, to visit any of the store, as well as you have an option to have it, from any of the store as well to your doorstep as well. So, I think
Hmm.
omni-channel is something very important. Now, this will definitely, obviously, increases your channel, your depth, your reach to the potential customers. Apart
Hmm.
from that, I feel that if I typically talk about UAE market, it's a very price competitive market,
Yeah.
though it is masked with the luxury. Uh,
Yes.
However, if you see that it's a highly price competitive market. Now, in order to be price competitive, so your offering should also be on the same lines. Now, the offering could be maybe by creating a, if not a direct discount, it could be maybe creating a combo. It could be creating something like a gift with purchase,
Right.
where the perceived value, when I buy or when you buy, the value that we should get out after spending X amount of money
Hmm.
should be better.
Like.
So the customer is the king, because it is not only about acquiring the customer once. It is about acquiring the customer once and then serving the customer again and again.
Keep them.
Now,
Yeah.
typically, if you see any of the organization, be it any form of business, maybe online, brick and mortar, IT, any form of a business, if you see that they will acquire the customer, but the same customer will be served. So for example, a classic example of Noon here. I use Noon
Yes.
platform, I use Noon Supermall, I use Noon Minutes as well, I use Now as well, I use Noon Food as well. It
Nice.
is the same customer, but when they treat us well. Now, Amazon is also a very classic example. If you are an Amazon
Yes.
developer, you see the kind of service that they give you.
Absolutely. Yeah, you have as soon as you get the Prime, you get the Prime delivery, you get the Prime for Amazon Prime, like the one to watch TV series on, whatever. Yeah, there's I completely agree with you. I feel that in all the countries that I've been in, when there's a enterprise service provider that can, yeah, just treat me well as a customer, and I'm not feeling ever like I'm being, how can I say it? Not really lied to, but when I can go to another marketplace and I see, for example, something is just like $10 cheaper, where it's like here, they're just boosting the price just to kind of slide
Sure.
that in there. That's where I'm just kind of like, no, 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 I don't like when they're doing that. But when it's consistent, the client service is good, the deliveries are always good. If something happens, that's another huge thing I would actually mention on that too, is when things are going good, usually most of the big businesses, they're pretty well. Like, I mean, they're all in the same kind of level.